Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to share with you a simple yet life-changing truth. Winning is not about trophies, medals, or recognition. It's about mindset. To always be a winner means to live with purpose, to rise above challenges, and to transform every setback into a stepping stone. Dr. Wayne Dyer often reminded us that our thoughts shape our reality, and if we choose the thoughts of strength, faith, and determination, we are already winners long before the results arrive. Winning begins with self-belief, because everything you will ever achieve in life first takes root in the unseen soil of your own mind. It does not start on the field of competition, in the classroom, or in the workplace. It begins in that quiet, often overlooked place within yourself where you decide whether you are capable or incapable, whether you are worthy or unworthy, whether you are destined to rise or destined to settle. Every invention, every breakthrough, every achievement, and every extraordinary story has one thing in common: someone, somewhere, chose to believe that they could do it long before there was any evidence that they would succeed. That inner conviction, that unwavering belief in oneself, is the spark that ignites the fire of greatness. When you look at those who achieve great things, it is tempting to think they were born with advantages, or they were lucky, or that circumstances aligned in their favor. But if you peel back the layers of their story, you will nearly always find a period where nothing looked promising, where people doubted them, where resources were scarce, and where the only thing they had left to rely on was their own belief in themselves. That belief kept them moving when others would have quit. It allowed them to see possibilities when everyone else only saw problems, and it gave them the courage to attempt things that appeared impossible. Without self-belief, none of that would have been possible. Self-belief is not arrogance. It is not blind pride or ego. It is the deep, calm assurance that you are capable of growing, learning, adapting, and overcoming whatever life puts in front of you. It is knowing that you may not have all the answers right now, but you trust yourself enough to figure them out along the way. Arrogance says, I know it all already. Self-belief says, I don't know it all yet, but I believe I can learn and rise. That distinction is what makes self-belief such a powerful foundation for winning. Many people underestimate how powerful thoughts are. Wayne Dyer often reminded us that our thoughts create our reality. If you continually tell yourself that you are weak, unworthy, or incapable, then you will unconsciously create conditions in your life that prove you right. You will sabotage opportunities, avoid risks, and shrink away from challenges because you are living out the story you told yourself. On the other hand, if you tell yourself that you are strong, that you are worthy, and that you have within you the seeds of greatness, you will also create conditions that prove you right. You will step forward, take risks, embrace challenges, and persist in the face of difficulty because you are living the story of a winner. The mind is a battlefield. Every day you are bombarded by doubts, fears, criticisms, and negative voices, both from within yourself and from those around you. If you do not build the shield of self-belief, those arrows of negativity will pierce you and weaken you. But if you nurture the habit of believing in yourself, you will be resilient. You will hear the criticism, but you will not be destroyed by it. You will face the doubts, but you will answer them with determination. You will encounter fear, but you will keep moving anyway. That is the essence of winning, not the absence of challenges, but the refusal to be defeated by them. Think about a child learning to walk. The child falls down again and again, sometimes hundreds of times. But the child does not interpret the falling as failure. The child does not say, I guess walking isn't for me. Instead, the child instinctively believes, I can do this. That unshakable self-belief is what eventually leads to walking, then running, then a lifetime of mobility. Somewhere along the way, many of us lose that childlike self-belief. We replace it with fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of looking foolish. We tell ourselves stories like, I'm not good at this, or I'll never be able to achieve that, and we stop trying. But if you want to be a winner in life, you must reclaim that childlike persistence. You must fall and get back up again and again, trusting in your ability to eventually succeed. One of the greatest tragedies is when people stop believing in themselves because others stop believing in them. Maybe a teacher said you would never amount to anything. Maybe a boss told you that you didn't have what it takes. Maybe friends or family doubted your dreams. But here is the truth: no one's opinion of you has to become your reality unless you let it. The world is full of stories of people who were doubted, rejected, ridiculed, or ignored, but who went on to do extraordinary things because they refused to internalize the opinions of others. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television. Thomas Edison was told he was too stupid to learn anything. Imagine if they had believed those voices. Imagine the loss to the world if their self-belief had been crushed. Self-belief is contagious. When you walk into a room with quiet confidence, people sense it. When you speak with conviction, people listen. When you carry yourself as someone who trusts their own abilities, others begin to trust you too. This is why leaders, athletes, entrepreneurs, and changemakers all emphasize the importance of belief. It is the invisible force that inspires followers, investors, teams, and supporters. Without it, even the most talented individual will struggle to convince others. With it, even those who are still learning and growing can rally people around them. But how do you build self-belief when doubt has taken root? It begins with small victories. When you keep promises to yourself, when you show up consistently, when you set goals and achieve them, no matter how small, you train your mind to trust you. Each time you take action despite fear, each time you persist despite difficulty, each time you prove to yourself that you can do what you set out to do, your self-belief grows stronger. Just like a muscle, it must be exercised. The more you use it, the more powerful it becomes. Another key to building self-belief is to control the input that shapes your mind. If you constantly consume negativity, criticism, and hopelessness, you will weaken your belief. But if you surround yourself with inspiring books, uplifting people, positive mentors, and encouraging environments, you will feed your belief. What you put into your mind becomes the fuel for your self-image. Protect it as fiercely as you would protect your physical health. Winners are not those who never fail. Winners are those who believe in themselves enough to rise after failure. Every failure is just feedback, a lesson, a stepping stone on the path to success. Self-belief transforms failure from an identity into an event. It is no longer, I am a failure. Instead, it becomes, I experienced a failure, and I can learn from it. That shift is only possible when you have built the inner conviction that no single setback defines you. You are always bigger than your circumstances. Imagine two people facing the same obstacle. One doubts themselves, says, I can't do this, and gives up. The other believes in themselves, says, this is tough, but I'll find a way, and persists. The obstacle is the same, but the outcome is radically different, all because of belief. That is why self-belief is the starting point of winning. Without it, the best opportunities will slip through your fingers. With it, even limited opportunities can be expanded into great victories. At the core of self-belief is the decision to trust in your own worth. Too many people tie their value to external validation, to approval from others, to achievements, to possessions. But these things are temporary and fragile. True self-belief is rooted in the unshakable knowledge that you are worthy simply because you exist, that you have within you unique gifts and potential that no one else can replicate. When you start from that foundation, setbacks do not crush you, criticism does not define you, and comparison does not weaken you. You stand strong in your own identity, and from that place, you can win in the truest sense of the word. Winning begins with self-belief because self-belief is the soil from which everything else grows. Discipline, persistence, courage, resilience, these are all fruits that grow from the seed of believing you are capable. Without that seed, the soil is barren. But once it is planted and watered daily with thoughts of confidence, gratitude, and determination, it will grow into a mighty tree that no storm can uproot. Every time you choose to believe in yourself, even in small ways, you are tending that seed, nurturing that growth, and building the foundation for a life of victory. So when life challenges you, when doubt whispers in your ear, when others question your worth, remember this: you do not need to wait for permission to believe in yourself. You do not need external evidence to prove your potential. The very act of believing is what makes the evidence appear. The winners of this world are not those who never felt fear or doubt. They are those who chose again and again to believe in themselves despite it. That is where winning begins, and once you anchor yourself in that truth, you are already halfway to victory. Focusing on progress rather than perfection is one of the most powerful lessons anyone can learn if they want to live like a true winner. Too often, people stop themselves from chasing their dreams, pursuing opportunities, or even taking the first step simply because they are waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect skills, or the perfect version of themselves. But perfection is an illusion. It is a standard that shifts every time you reach closer to it. What really matters is not whether you arrive at perfection, but whether you are moving forward, learning, growing, and evolving each day. That steady progress, however small, is the path to greatness. When you think about some of the greatest achievements in human history, they rarely came from a flawless beginning. The Wright brothers did not build the perfect airplane on their first attempt. They built prototypes, they failed, they tested again and again, and each failure brought them closer to flight. Thomas Edison famously said he didn't fail but discovered thousands of ways that didn't work before creating the light bulb. Each attempt was progress, not perfection. If he had waited for the perfect idea before trying, we might still be living in darkness. Progress is messy, full of setbacks and imperfections, but it is in that mess where growth happens and breakthroughs are born. Perfectionism, on the other hand, is a silent killer of dreams. It disguises itself as a noble pursuit, as if holding yourself to impossibly high standards is somehow a virtue. But in reality, perfectionism is often just fear in disguise. The fear of failure, the fear of judgment, The fear of not being enough. People hide behind the excuse of, I'll start when I'm ready, or I need to plan more before I act, or I'm just waiting until things are perfect. But in truth, they are paralyzed by the fear of imperfection. Winners know that waiting for perfection is a trap. They act now with what they have, where they are, trusting that progress will refine them along the way. Progress is powerful because it compounds. A small step taken daily grows into massive change over time. If you improve just a little bit each day, if you learn one new thing, if you practice one skill, if you move one step closer to your goal, the momentum builds. Over months and years, those small increments of progress transform into extraordinary results. Think about someone learning a new language. If they demanded perfection, they might never speak a word, afraid of making mistakes. But if they focus on progress, on learning a few words each day, on practicing conversations even if broken, eventually fluency comes. The journey may not be perfect, but the consistent progress is success. Winners understand that progress requires patience. Our world today is obsessed with instant gratification, with quick results, with overnight success stories. But real progress is often slow and steady, demanding persistence and resilience. The bamboo plant, for example, spends years growing underground where no one can see it. For 5 years, it appears as though nothing is happening. But in the 5th year, it suddenly shoots up, growing over 80 feet in just weeks. All that time underground was progress, though invisible. Many people quit during those unseen years, believing they are failing, when in reality, they are laying the roots for rapid growth. The winner keeps going because they value progress even when it is not yet visible. Another reason progress is more important than perfection is that perfection is static, while progress is dynamic. Perfection suggests an end point, a finished state where nothing more can be done. But life is not static. Growth is continuous. There is always more to learn, more to experience, more to create. If you chase perfection, you are constantly frustrated because there will always be something more to fix. But if you embrace progress, you celebrate every step forward, knowing that the journey itself is where the real victory lies. You stop measuring yourself against an impossible standard and start honoring the fact that you are further along today than you were yesterday. Think of an athlete training for the Olympics. If they demanded perfection in every practice, they would be discouraged and burned out long before the competition. But by focusing on progress, on being a little faster, a little stronger, a little more disciplined each day, they build the foundation for peak performance when it matters most. Progress fuels motivation because it allows you to see growth however small. Perfection kills motivation because it convinces you that no matter how hard you try, you'll never measure up. There is also an important truth: perfection is subjective. What one person considers perfect, another may find flawed. Artists, musicians, and writers often struggle with this. They refine their work endlessly, never releasing it because they feel it's not perfect. But the audience does not want perfection. They want authenticity, passion, and progress. Many of the world's most celebrated works of art were criticized when first released. If the creators had waited for perfection, they might never have shared their gifts with the world. Winners are not those who present flawless work, but those who dare to present imperfect progress that inspires, teaches, and uplifts others. Progress also teaches humility. When you focus on progress, you acknowledge that you are still learning, still growing, still on the journey. You don't pretend to know it all. You don't demand to be flawless. Instead, you remain open to feedback, willing to adjust, willing to stumble, and willing to get back up. This humility is what keeps you moving forward instead of stuck in the paralysis of perfection. The paradox is that by embracing imperfection and valuing progress, you actually become far more excellent than if you had chased perfection directly. One of the greatest obstacles people face in life is comparison. We look at others who seem further ahead, who appear more successful, more talented, more accomplished, and we feel inadequate. But comparison is unfair because it ignores context. You are comparing your chapter 2 with someone else's chapter 20. You are comparing your behind the scenes struggles with someone else's highlight reel. Winners avoid this trap by focusing on their own progress. They ask, am I further along today than I was yesterday? That is the only comparison that matters. Perfection compares you to others and leaves you feeling less. Progress compares you to yourself and leaves you feeling proud. Winners also know that progress creates resilience. Every small step forward, every lesson learned, every obstacle overcome becomes part of your armor. You realize that even when things go wrong, you are still moving forward because you are gaining experience. Progress reframes failure as growth. If something doesn't work out, you are not back at zero. You have learned, you have grown, you have progressed. That mindset makes you unstoppable because nothing is wasted. Even setbacks contribute to your forward motion. It is also worth remembering that progress inspires others. When people see you striving, growing, and evolving, they are motivated to do the same. You don't need to be perfect to inspire. You simply need to be real and committed to growth. Parents inspire their children not by being flawless, but by showing progress in patience, kindness, And resilience. Leaders inspire teams not by being perfect, but by showing the willingness to adapt and improve. Friends inspire each other not by pretending to have it all together, but by openly working on becoming better versions of themselves. Progress creates a ripple effect that perfection never could. Choosing progress over perfection also allows you to enjoy the journey. If you are obsessed with perfection, you can't enjoy the process because nothing is ever good enough. But when you value progress, you learn to celebrate small wins, to find joy in the process, to savor the growth along the way. The joy is not just in reaching the mountaintop, but in every step of the climb. Winners are not only defined by the victory at the end, but by the mindset they carry throughout the journey. They find fulfillment in becoming, not just in arriving. To truly embody the principle of focusing on progress, not perfection, you must shift your daily perspective. Instead of asking, "Was I perfect today?" ask, "Did I move forward today?" Instead of asking, "Did I avoid mistakes?" ask, "What did I learn from the mistakes I made?" Instead of seeking flawless outcomes, seek meaningful improvements. This shift will not only make you more resilient and successful, but also more fulfilled and at peace with yourself. In the end, winners are not those who live perfectly polished lives. Winners are those who kept going when it was messy, who improved steadily despite setbacks, who embraced growth instead of waiting for flawlessness. Progress is movement, and movement is life. Perfection is stagnation, and stagnation is death. If you want to live fully, if you want to be a true winner, then focus not on perfection, but on progress, day by day, step by step, until one day you look back and realize you have built a life more extraordinary than you ever imagined. Life has a way of presenting us with obstacles at the most unexpected times. Just when we believe we are on the right path, just when we think things are beginning to fall into place, some challenge, setback, or barrier arises to test our resolve. For many, these obstacles become reasons to stop, excuses to give up, or justifications to abandon their dreams. But winners, those who understand the deeper truth of success and growth, see obstacles in an entirely different light. They know that within every challenge lies a hidden gift. Within every difficulty lies the seed of transformation, and within every obstacle lies the opportunity to rise to a greater version of oneself. This perspective is what separates those who quit from those who conquer. When you look back on your own life, you will likely notice that the times you grew the most were not when everything was smooth and easy. Growth rarely happens in comfort. It happens in adversity, when you are forced to stretch, adapt, and evolve in ways you never thought possible. Obstacles have a way of pulling strength out of you that you didn't even know was there. They test your patience, your creativity, your resilience, and your faith. While the world often teaches us to avoid obstacles, the truth is that obstacles are some of our greatest teachers. They prepare us for the victories ahead. They refine us, shape us, and make us stronger. It is easy to admire people who have achieved great success and assume their journey was smooth. But if you study their stories closely, you will discover that nearly all of them were shaped by obstacles. Oprah Winfrey endured poverty and hardship before becoming one of the most influential women in the world. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison before leading his country into freedom. Steve Jobs was fired from the very company he founded, only to return years later and lead it to heights no one imagined. These obstacles were not roadblocks that ended their stories, they were turning points that made their stories powerful. Without those struggles, their achievements would not shine as brightly. The truth is, obstacles are neutral. They are neither good nor bad on their own. What determines their impact is how we choose to respond to them. Two people can face the exact same obstacle, and one will see it as a dead end, while the other will see it as a detour leading to something better. Winners train their minds to look for the hidden opportunity in every obstacle. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they ask, "What can I learn from this? How can I grow through this? How can I use this situation to move closer to my goals?" This shift in mindset is what transforms pain into progress and setbacks into setups for success. Obstacles also force us to innovate. When the straightforward path is blocked, we are pushed to find creative solutions. History is full of examples where limitations sparked breakthroughs. During the Apollo 13 mission, when an explosion damaged the spacecraft, the team of astronauts and engineers faced what seemed like an impossible obstacle. Yet by innovating under pressure and finding unconventional solutions, they turned what could have been a tragedy into a triumph of human ingenuity. Similarly, when resources are scarce, when conditions are tough, when everything seems against us, we are often driven to discover ideas, strategies, and strengths we would never have found otherwise. Obstacles in this way become opportunities for creativity and discovery. Another reason obstacles are opportunities is that they reveal our true character. It is easy to be optimistic and kind when life is going well. But who you are in times of struggle says much more about you than who you are in times of ease. Obstacles strip away pretense and force us to confront ourselves honestly. They reveal whether we are truly committed to our goals or only committed when things are convenient. They show whether we are guided by principles or swayed by circumstances. They test our patience, our perseverance, and our integrity. Winners embrace these tests, knowing that each one is a chance to refine who they are and strengthen their foundation for greater challenges ahead. It is also important to remember that obstacles connect us with others. When we struggle, we gain empathy for others who are struggling. When we overcome, we become a source of inspiration for those who are still in the storm. Your obstacles, once conquered, become someone else's hope. They give you the credibility and the wisdom to guide others. Imagine a mountain climber who has faced avalanches, storms, and steep cliffs but still reached the summit. When that climber comes back down, he or she can guide others up the mountain with confidence because the obstacles have been faced firsthand. In the same way, your obstacles prepare you not just to win for yourself but to help others win too. Of course, turning obstacles into opportunities requires a mindset shift. Most people, when faced with challenges, focus on what they cannot control. They get stuck in frustration, anger, or self-pity. Winners, however, focus on what they can control: their actions, their perspective, and their response. If the door is locked, winners look for a window. If the path is blocked, they carve a new trail. If circumstances are unfair, they channel their energy into growth rather than complaint. They refuse to let obstacles define their destiny. They may acknowledge the pain and difficulty, but they also recognize that within the struggle lies the power to transform themselves and their future. Think of a seed planted in the soil. To the seed, the soil feels like an obstacle, heavy and dark. But it is precisely that soil that provides the nutrients and conditions for the seed to grow into a tree. Without the resistance of the soil, the seed would never sprout. Similarly, the challenges you face may feel like they are burying you, but in reality, they may be planting you for growth you cannot yet see. Winners trust this process. They understand that obstacles are not meant to destroy them, but to prepare them for a harvest of strength, wisdom, and victory. One of the most liberating truths about obstacles is that they are temporary. No storm lasts forever. No challenge endures indefinitely. Even the hardest seasons eventually pass. When you realize this, obstacles lose much of their power over you. You may still feel the weight of them, but you can endure because you know it is not permanent. Winners hold on to faith during the darkest times, reminding themselves that every obstacle is an opportunity in disguise and that beyond the struggle lies the breakthrough. Obstacles also give us stories worth telling. Imagine a movie with no conflict, no challenge, no obstacle. It would be boring, lifeless, and forgettable. What makes stories powerful and inspiring is the way characters face and overcome obstacles. The same is true of your life. Your obstacles make your story meaningful. They give you the chance to demonstrate courage, resilience, and creativity. They give depth to your victories. When you look back years later, it will not be the easy times you remember most vividly, but the obstacles you overcame and the strength you found in the process. Winners understand that obstacles are not the opposite of opportunities. They are the raw material of opportunities. Each difficulty carries within it a lesson, a skill, a strength, or a connection that prepares you for the next level of your journey. To turn obstacles into opportunities, you must shift your focus from what you have lost to what you can gain, from what is blocking you to what is building you, from what feels like an end to what could become a beginning. It is this ability to reframe challenges that allows winners to keep moving forward when others stop. When you find yourself in the middle of a challenge, remind yourself that your future victory may depend on how you respond right now. If you give up, the obstacle becomes the end of your story. If you persist, adapt, and grow, the obstacle becomes the chapter that makes your story unforgettable. The power is not in the obstacle itself, but in the meaning you choose to give it. That meaning is what shapes your journey and determines whether you become a victim of circumstance or a victor over circumstance. Ultimately, obstacles are invitations. They invite you to rise, to grow, to expand your capacity. They invite you to develop resilience, to deepen your faith, to strengthen your character. They invite you to discover strengths and abilities you never knew you had. Winners accept these invitations. They step into the challenge with the belief that on the other side lies something greater. They understand that the obstacle is not the end of the road, but a bend in the road, leading them somewhere new and often better. So the next time you face an obstacle, do not curse it, fear it, or run from it. Instead, look at it with the eyes of a winner. Ask yourself, what opportunity is hidden here? What strength can I develop? What lesson can I learn? What door might this be opening for me? When you adopt this mindset, obstacles lose their power to stop you and instead become stepping stones on your path to greatness. You transform what was meant to break you into what will build you. That is the essence of being a winner, not avoiding obstacles, but turning them into opportunities for growth, strength, and ultimate victory. Discipline is one of the greatest forces in the universe when it comes to achieving dreams, building character, and creating a life of meaning and impact. It is the invisible bridge that carries you from where you are now to where you want to be. Everyone has desires, everyone has wishes, and everyone has dreams, but not everyone is willing to cultivate the discipline required to bring those dreams into reality. The truth is that motivation can spark action for a moment, but it is discipline that sustains action for a lifetime. Winners understand this truth. They know that discipline is not punishment but freedom because it allows them to direct their energy toward building the future they desire rather than being enslaved by the impulses of the present moment. Discipline means showing up even when you don't feel like it. It means honoring your commitments even when they are inconvenient. It means doing the work consistently, day after day, long after the excitement has worn off. This is where most people fall short. They rely on inspiration or external encouragement to keep them going, but those feelings are fleeting. Winners build systems, habits, and routines that keep them moving forward whether they feel like it or not. That is discipline, the decision to act according to principles, not emotions. Imagine a student preparing for an important exam. If they only study when they feel motivated, they will be unprepared because motivation comes and goes. But if they build a disciplined schedule, dedicating time each day to study regardless of mood, they will walk into the exam ready and confident. The same principle applies in every area of life, in health, in business, in relationships, and in personal growth. Discipline is what separates those who wish from those who achieve. Discipline is also about sacrifice. Every choice you make has a cost, and discipline is choosing the cost of effort over the cost of regret. When you choose to get up early to work on your goals, you are sacrificing comfort now for fulfillment later. When you choose to save money instead of spending recklessly, you are sacrificing momentary pleasure for long-term security. When you choose to practice your craft instead of wasting hours in distraction, you are sacrificing ease for excellence. Winners understand that discipline is not about depriving themselves, but about investing in themselves. It is about trading short-term indulgence for long-term reward. There is a saying that discipline weighs ounces, while regret weighs tons. The daily effort of discipline may feel heavy at times, but it is nothing compared to the crushing weight of looking back years later and realizing you could have done more, been more, and achieved more. Winners live in such a way that they minimize regret. They embrace the discipline of today because they know it builds the freedom of tomorrow. The undisciplined person drifts through life, blown by circumstances and emotions, while the disciplined person charts their course and sails toward their chosen destination. Discipline also builds trust with yourself. Every time you set a goal and follow through, you prove to yourself that your word has value. This builds confidence, resilience, and self-belief. On the other hand, every time you break a promise to yourself, you weaken your own trust, and self-doubt begins to grow. Winners understand this and therefore treat self-discipline as sacred. They know that by consistently honoring their commitments, they are reinforcing the belief that they are capable of achieving what they set out to do. Over time, this self-trust becomes an unshakable foundation for bigger and bolder pursuits. Discipline is not only about hard work, it is also about focus. In a world filled with endless distractions, discipline is the ability to keep your eyes on what truly matters. It is saying no to the things that waste your energy and yes to the things that align with your goals. Many people fail not because they lack talent, but because they lack focus. They scatter their energy across too many areas and never commit fully to anything. Winners use discipline to narrow their focus, to eliminate what is unnecessary, and to channel their energy into what will bring the greatest impact. That is why their results are extraordinary. They are not spread thin, they are concentrated and intentional. Discipline also gives birth to consistency, and consistency compounds into greatness. Going to the gym one time will not transform your body, but going consistently over months and years will. Writing one page will not create a book, but writing a little each day will eventually fill volumes. Saving a small amount of money one time will not make you wealthy, but saving consistently will build financial freedom. The power of discipline lies in its ability to transform small, repeated actions into massive results over time. Winners understand this principle and therefore value the process as much as the outcome. Discipline is also tied to resilience. When challenges arise, when setbacks occur, when obstacles block the path, it is discipline that keeps you moving. Without discipline, difficulties quickly discourage you and you give up. With discipline, you keep pressing forward even when progress feels slow. You continue because you are anchored not in fleeting emotions, but in steady commitment. That steady, disciplined commitment is what carries you through the storms and into calmer waters. It is important to understand that discipline is not something you are born with, it is something you build. Just like a muscle, it grows stronger the more you use it. At first, it may feel difficult to wake up early, to avoid distractions, or to stay consistent. But over time, those disciplined choices become habits, and habits become your character. Winners train themselves to embrace discipline not as a burden, but as a way of life. They find pride and joy in being disciplined because they see the results it creates. There is also a deep connection between discipline and freedom. At first glance, discipline may seem restrictive, as if it limits your choices. But in truth, discipline is what creates true freedom. The disciplined athlete has the freedom to perform at the highest level because they have trained their body and mind. The disciplined professional has the freedom to seize opportunities because they have prepared diligently. The disciplined individual has the freedom to live without regret because they have invested their time and energy wisely. The undisciplined person, on the other hand, may feel free in the moment but ultimately becomes a prisoner of poor habits, missed opportunities, and unfulfilled potential. Winners understand that discipline is not about chains but about wings. It lifts you toward the life you dream of living. Discipline also creates respect. People admire those who live with discipline because they know how rare it is. In a world where distractions are endless and comfort is always tempting, the person who consistently lives by principle stands out. Discipline makes you reliable, trustworthy, and admirable. It inspires others to raise their own standards. Leaders, in particular, must embody discipline because without it they cannot expect their teams to follow. A disciplined life commands respect without needing to demand it. One of the greatest challenges in practicing discipline is fighting against instant gratification. Human nature craves immediate rewards, and society constantly encourages us to indulge in the now rather than invest in the future. Winners overcome this by training themselves to delay gratification, to see beyond the temporary pleasures of the moment, and to focus on the greater rewards that discipline will bring. They understand that the sweetest victories are not the ones gained quickly and easily, but the ones earned through steady, disciplined effort. Discipline also requires clarity of vision. You cannot be disciplined without knowing what you are working toward. Winners take time to define their goals clearly, to understand their values deeply, and to set their priorities wisely. With that clarity, discipline becomes easier because every choice is measured against the vision. Does this action bring me closer to my goal or further away? Does this decision align with my values or compromise them? Discipline thrives when vision is strong because purpose fuels persistence. There is no denying that discipline can feel uncomfortable at times. It demands effort, sacrifice, and consistency, often in the face of fatigue or temptation. But the discomfort of discipline is temporary while the rewards are lasting. Winners remind themselves of this truth daily. They embrace the short-term discomfort because they know it is building long-term success. They understand that discipline is not about denying themselves life's joys, but about creating the foundation for deeper and more meaningful joy in the future. When you practice discipline, you are not just building habits, you are shaping your destiny. Every act of discipline is a brick laid on the bridge that carries you toward your goals. Without that bridge, your dreams remain on the other side, unreachable and distant. With discipline, each day brings you closer until one day you find yourself walking into the reality you once only imagined. That is the power of discipline. It turns visions into victories, potential into performance, and dreams into destiny. In the end, winners know that discipline is not optional, it is essential. It is the bridge between intentions and results, between goals and achievements, between who you are now and who you are capable of becoming. Those who embrace discipline live with strength, freedom, and fulfillment, while those who reject it remain trapped in cycles of regret and wasted potential. If you want to be a true winner, you must commit yourself to discipline, day after day, choice after choice, action after action, until it becomes not just something you do, but part of who you are. And when that happens, success is no longer a distant dream. It is an inevitable reality. Gratitude is one of the most overlooked yet most powerful forces that shape a person's mindset, character, and destiny. In a world where people are constantly chasing more money, more success, more recognition, more possessions, it is easy to forget the power of simply being thankful for what we already have. Yet winners, those who live with true strength and joy, understand that gratitude is not just a polite gesture, but a powerful tool that fuels resilience, perspective, and growth. Gratitude transforms the way you see the world, and when you change the way you see the world, you change the way you move through it. A winning mindset cannot thrive in the soil of resentment, comparison, or dissatisfaction. It grows in the soil of gratitude, where even the smallest blessings are acknowledged and celebrated. Gratitude is not about ignoring your struggles or pretending that everything is perfect. It is about shifting your focus from what is missing to what is present, from what is lacking to what is abundant. Every life has difficulties, but every life also has blessings. When you choose to see the blessings, you empower yourself to rise above the difficulties. Gratitude is a lens that reveals opportunities and challenges, strength and struggles, and lessons and losses. Winners use gratitude as fuel because it keeps them focused on possibility instead of limitation, on growth instead of complaint. There is a direct connection between gratitude and resilience. When setbacks come, the ungrateful mindset sees only disaster. It says, life is unfair. I cannot go on. But the grateful mindset says, this is difficult, but I am thankful for the lessons it will teach me. I am grateful for the strength I will gain. I am grateful for the people supporting me through it. That shift may sound small, but it is everything. Gratitude does not erase pain, but it gives you the strength to carry it. Gratitude does not remove challenges, but it gives you the perspective to endure them with courage and patience. A grateful heart is unbreakable because it always finds light, even in the darkest circumstances. Think about people who have endured extreme hardships, wars, poverty, illness, or personal loss. Many who come through those trials with hope and strength will tell you that gratitude was their anchor. They were thankful for every breath, every sunrise, every act of kindness, no matter how small. That gratitude gave them the resilience to keep going when despair could have easily consumed them. Winners are not those who never face pain, but those who face it with a grateful spirit that refuses to be crushed. Gratitude becomes their secret weapon, a well of strength that never runs dry. Gratitude also has the power to transform relationships. When you are grateful for the people in your life, you treat them differently. You appreciate their presence, you honor their contributions, and you forgive their imperfections more easily. Gratitude creates connection, while ingratitude breeds resentment. Many relationships fail not because of betrayal or conflict, but because people stopped appreciating each other. Winners, however, nurture gratitude in their relationships. They say thank you, they notice the small things, and they remind themselves daily of the value others bring into their lives. This attitude not only strengthens bonds but also inspires loyalty, trust, and love. There is also a scientific truth to gratitude: it rewires the brain. Studies in psychology and neuroscience show that practicing gratitude consistently can increase happiness, reduce stress, and improve overall health. Gratitude activates areas of the brain associated with positivity and reward, while reducing the focus on fear and negativity. Winners understand this not just intellectually but experientially. They practice gratitude daily, writing in journals, meditating on their blessings, or simply taking moments to reflect on what they are thankful for. These small practices fuel their winning mindset because they train the brain to focus on abundance rather than lack. Gratitude also destroys the poison of comparison. One of the greatest thieves of joy is looking at what others have and feeling inferior. Comparison makes you feel as though you are always behind, always missing something, never good enough. But gratitude dissolves comparison by focusing your attention on the unique blessings in your own life. When you are grateful, you no longer measure yourself against others, you measure yourself against your own journey. Winners live this truth. They celebrate the success of others without envy because they are too busy being thankful for their own blessings. Gratitude creates contentment, and contentment creates freedom from the exhausting cycle of comparison. Winners also know that gratitude creates abundance. The more you focus on what you are grateful for, the more you notice opportunities, resources, and support that you may have overlooked before. Gratitude opens your eyes to possibilities that were always there but hidden by negativity. It shifts your perspective from scarcity to abundance, from "I don't have enough" to "I have more than enough to begin." This shift is powerful because success rarely comes from having everything you need up front. It comes from using what you already have and maximizing it. Gratitude fuels this resourcefulness by teaching you to see and appreciate the tools, skills, and relationships you already possess. There is a story about two farmers during a drought. One spent his days complaining about the lack of rain, focusing only on his dry fields. The other was grateful for the water he still had stored, for the seeds he had saved, and for the chance to innovate new ways to conserve resources. While the first farmer gave up, the second adapted and survived. Gratitude made the difference. This story illustrates how gratitude turns obstacles into opportunities, not by denying reality, but by reframing it. Winners live this way. They use gratitude as a foundation for creativity, resilience, and innovation. Gratitude also fuels humility, which is another hallmark of a winning mindset. When you are grateful, you recognize that much of your success is not achieved alone, but with the help, support, and kindness of others. You acknowledge the role of mentors, family, teachers, friends, and even strangers who contributed to your journey. This humility keeps you grounded. It prevents pride from blinding you and reminds you that success is not only about what you achieve, but also about who you become in the process. Winners express gratitude for the people who help them, and in doing so, they strengthen their relationships and create a legacy of kindness and appreciation. At its core, gratitude also deepens joy. Imagine someone climbing a mountain. If they are focused only on the summit, they may miss the beauty of the trees, the fresh air, the sound of birds, and the strength in their own legs. Gratitude shifts the perspective to savoring the journey, not just the destination. Winners live with this kind of joy. They celebrate small wins along the way. They appreciate each step of progress. They find fulfillment not just at the end of the road, but throughout the entire journey. Gratitude turns life into a series of victories because every day becomes a chance to notice and appreciate the good that is already present. Gratitude also fuels hope. When life feels overwhelming, gratitude reminds you that not everything is lost, that there is still something to hold on to, something worth fighting for. This hope is what keeps you moving forward. Winners cultivate gratitude as a way to stay hopeful even in dark times. They count their blessings not because their circumstances are perfect, but because they know hope grows where gratitude is planted. This hope becomes a light that guides them through uncertainty, giving them the courage to persist until they reach brighter days. Practicing gratitude also creates a ripple effect in the world. When you express gratitude to others, you not only uplift yourself, but also uplift them. Gratitude has the power to heal, to encourage, and to inspire. A simple thank you can change someone's day. A genuine appreciation can restore someone's motivation. Gratitude spreads positivity, and positivity multiplies. Winners spread gratitude generously, creating waves of encouragement that go far beyond themselves. In this way, gratitude becomes not just a personal practice, but a social force for good. It is important to understand that gratitude is a choice. Life will always present reasons to complain and reasons to be thankful. The difference lies in which one you choose to focus on. Winners deliberately choose gratitude. They train their minds to seek out the good, to highlight the blessings, and to celebrate progress. This choice is not always easy, especially in moments of pain or loss, but it is always powerful. Gratitude does not deny the existence of hardship. It simply refuses to let hardship define the whole story. When you live with gratitude, you attract more to be grateful for. It is as if the universe responds to a thankful heart by opening more doors and providing more opportunities. This is not magic, but perspective. When you are grateful, you notice opportunities others overlook, you take action with a positive spirit, and you build relationships with people who are drawn to your energy. All of this creates a cycle of growth and abundance. Gratitude fuels this cycle and makes success not just possible, but sustainable. Ultimately, gratitude fuels a winning mindset because it keeps your heart light, your spirit strong, and your perspective clear. It protects you from bitterness, envy, and despair. It keeps you anchored in joy and grounded in humility. It empowers you to face challenges with hope, to celebrate victories with humility, and to live every day with fulfillment. Winners know that success without gratitude feels empty, but success with gratitude feels meaningful. Gratitude is what turns achievements into blessings, challenges into lessons, and life itself into a gift. So if you want to always be a winner, practice gratitude daily. Be thankful for what you have while working for what you want. Appreciate the journey as much as the destination. See every day as a blessing, every challenge as a lesson, and every person as a gift. Gratitude is not just a feeling, it is a discipline, a mindset, and a way of living. And when you live this way, you discover that you are already winning, because gratitude transforms your life into a victory no matter the circumstances. Believing in yourself is the cornerstone of every achievement, every breakthrough, and every lasting victory in life. Without self-belief, even the most talented individuals stumble, even the most prepared minds falter, and even the greatest opportunities slip away. The world is filled with stories of people who had the skills, the knowledge, and the resources to succeed but failed because deep inside they did not believe they were capable, worthy, or strong enough. At the same time, history shines with examples of people who started with almost nothing. No money, no connections, no special advantages, yet built incredible lives because they had unwavering faith in themselves. This shows us that self-belief is not just important, it is essential. It is the foundation upon which all victories are built. Self-belief is not arrogance, nor is it blind pride. It is not pretending to be invincible or denying weaknesses. Real self-belief is the quiet but unshakable confidence that no matter what happens, you will find a way forward. It is trusting that you are capable of learning, of adapting, of overcoming obstacles, and of creating the life you desire. Without this internal foundation, everything else crumbles. A brilliant plan is useless if you do not believe you can carry it out. An opportunity means nothing if you do not believe you deserve it. Even the encouragement of others loses its power if you cannot believe in yourself. Winners understand this truth, which is why they guard their self-belief as one of their most precious assets. The journey of life is filled with challenges. Doubt, rejection, criticism, and failure are inevitable. These moments can destroy a person who lacks belief in themselves, but they can also forge greatness in someone who has cultivated self-belief. When others say you cannot, self-belief whispers, "Watch me." When circumstances look impossible, self-belief says, "There is always a way." When failure knocks you down, self-belief reminds you, "This is not the end. I will rise again." It is this inner dialogue that separates winners from quitters. The external world can throw storms at you, but if you carry self-belief, you always have a shelter within yourself. It is important to understand that self-belief is not something you are born with fully formed, it is something you build. Every small victory, every challenge you overcome, every promise you keep to yourself strengthens your belief. Winners actively build their self-belief by taking action, by proving to themselves that they are capable, and by refusing to let fear or doubt have the final say. Each time you step outside your comfort zone and succeed, your belief grows. And even when you stumble, the very act of trying builds a foundation of courage. Self-belief is a muscle, and the more you use it, the stronger it becomes. One of the biggest enemies of self-belief is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of rejection. Many people allow fear to control them, to dictate their choices, and to paralyze them before they even begin. But winners understand that fear is natural, and they do not let it dictate their future. They face fear, acknowledge it, and move forward anyway. They know that courage is not the absence of fear, but action in spite of it. Every time you confront fear and act with courage, your self-belief grows stronger. You begin to trust yourself more, because you see that you can handle situations even when they scare you. This creates a cycle of growth. The more you face challenges, the more your belief grows, and the more victories you achieve. Criticism is another force that can destroy self-belief if you allow it. The opinions of others can be sharp weapons that cut deep into your confidence. People will doubt you, mock you, or question your abilities. If you build your confidence solely on external validation, it will crumble the moment criticism arrives. But winners know that the foundation of self-belief must come from within, not from outside approval. They listen to feedback when it is constructive, but they do not allow destructive criticism to define their worth. They remind themselves that the voices of doubt outside do not matter as much as the voice of belief inside. When you cultivate that inner voice, no external judgment can silence it. Failure, too, plays a paradoxical role in building self-belief. Many see failure as proof that they are not good enough, and their belief in themselves shatters. But winners see failure differently. To them, failure is not a verdict, it is a lesson. It is not the end, but a stepping stone. When you fail but choose to rise again, you teach yourself that you are resilient, that you are capable of continuing, that you are stronger than you thought. Each recovery from failure becomes evidence that you can trust yourself. Over time, this builds unshakable belief, because you realize that no failure can destroy you unless you choose to give up. Self-belief also requires self-talk. The way you speak to yourself shapes the way you see yourself. If your inner voice constantly criticizes, belittles, and doubts you, then self-belief will be nearly impossible to sustain. But if your inner voice encourages you, affirms your potential, and reminds you of your strengths, then belief becomes your natural state. Winners are intentional about their self-talk. They use affirmations, they remind themselves of their past victories, and they speak words of strength instead of words of defeat. This habit creates a mental environment where self-belief can flourish even in difficult times. Another aspect of self-belief is the willingness to dream. People without self-belief limit themselves to small goals because they do not think they can handle bigger ones. They shrink their dreams to fit their doubts. Winners do the opposite. They expand their dreams to match their belief. They dare to imagine more because they believe they can become more. This is why self-belief is the foundation of every victory. It allows you to set higher goals, to pursue bigger visions, and to take risks that others are too afraid to attempt. Without belief, you stay small. With belief, you unlock possibilities that others cannot even see. Winners also understand that self-belief is not about waiting until you feel fully ready. Many people think they need to gain confidence first and then take action. But the truth is, confidence comes from action, not before it. You do not wait until you believe in yourself completely to begin. You begin, and through the process, your belief grows. Every great achievement started with someone who acted despite their doubts. They did not wait for perfect confidence. They built it step by step through action. This is how self-belief becomes real, not by thinking, but by doing. Surroundings also matter. The people you allow into your life can either strengthen your self-belief or destroy it. Negative people, constant critics, and toxic environments can weaken your confidence, but uplifting mentors, supportive friends, and inspiring communities can nurture your belief. Winners choose their environment wisely. They surround themselves with people who remind them of their potential, who encourage their growth, and who believe in them even when they momentarily forget to believe in themselves. This support system becomes fuel for their self-belief, especially during difficult times. At its core, self-belief is about trust. Trusting that you can figure things out. Trusting that you are worthy of success. Trusting that you have within you the ability to adapt, learn, and grow into the person you need to be. This trust does not mean you will never stumble, but it means you will never give up. It is a deep conviction that even if today is hard, tomorrow you will rise stronger. Winners carry this trust in their hearts, and it gives them the courage to keep moving forward no matter how many obstacles they face. When you have self-belief, you stop living in the shadow of excuses. Excuses come from doubt, from the belief that you cannot, that you are not ready, that you are not good enough. But with self-belief, you no longer need excuses. You replace them with action. Instead of saying, "I can't because," you say, "I will try and learn along the way." This shift in mindset is transformative. It frees you from the prison of limitation and gives you the freedom to pursue your true potential. Winners live without excuses because they live with self-belief. Self-belief also inspires others. People are naturally drawn to those who radiate confidence and conviction. When you believe in yourself, others begin to believe in you too. Your courage gives them permission to be courageous. Your persistence encourages them to persist. Your victories, fueled by self-belief, become a beacon of hope for others who are struggling. This ripple effect means that believing in yourself does not only change your own life, it can change the lives of countless others. Ultimately, self-belief is the foundation of every victory because it shapes the way you think, act, and respond to life. Without it, you hesitate, you shrink, you quit. With it, you move forward, you persist, you rise. It is the inner fire that fuels all external achievements. No amount of talent, luck, or opportunity can compensate for a lack of belief. But with self-belief, even limited resources and humble beginnings can grow into extraordinary success. Winners know this truth and they live it every day. So believe in yourself, not tomorrow, not when conditions are perfect, not when everyone else approves, but today, with what you have, where you are. Trust that you are enough, that you are capable, and that you can handle whatever comes your way. Every victory you dream of, every success you desire, every mountain you want to climb begins with this one choice to believe in yourself. Make that choice daily, and you will discover that self-belief truly is the foundation of every victory, the spark that ignites every dream, and the unshakable core of what it means to always be a winner.